One of my sales managers called me after hours one night and she said, "Hey, Tiff, guess what? Listen to what just happened to me." And I was like, "Okay." And she said, "I returned a call from a family that I received online. They were scheduled to come in for a visit. And so I was just confirming. And the woman said to me, after reviewing your community online, I decided not to come in for the scheduled visit." So my sales manager said to me, I asked her why. And she said the lady was hesitant, but then said, "Well, I read a review you received online and decided that you may not be the right place for my mom." I asked my sales manager, "What did you say? What happened?" And she said that initially she paused and then she said, "I told her, you know, that was fair. That's fair. I understand. I will never make an excuse when we may have dropped the ball. And it should probably have never happened that it got to that point where she would express her feelings online. But the reality is this: sometimes dropping the ball happens, and that's going to be anywhere where your mom may live. But the key is what we do to rectify it. Let me ask you this before you hang up. I just want to ask you this one thing. Would you say that caregiving can be stressful at times? And there's a lot of emotions that's involved in the oversight and care for your parent? And the lady said, "Well, yeah, it's very stressful." So then my sales manager said to her, "Well, to be fair, sometimes in frustration, a family may be unhappy with decisions that we've made or the way the care was executed or done for their loved one. And they may not be happy with maybe how something was handled. And in that instance, they may express a moment in time of their frustration, but is not always indicative of the overall care that their parent have received." And I would really hate for you to make a decision about us based on a moment when it's not our family's everyday experiences. And I believe that you owe it to yourself and to your mom the opportunity to evaluate our community, our care, our staff, and what we do for our residents for yourself, and not make it based on an emotional decision that was made from a single moment. Well, the woman agreed. I thought that was perfect. She handled it right. And the woman decided to go ahead and visit the community. Well, guess what happened? 2 weeks later, her mom moved in. But here's what hit me, and this is what I wanted to talk to you guys about. What if my sales manager hadn't even asked why? What if she just went ahead and said, "Okay, you're not coming"? What if the family just never even showed up and we didn't know why? That's when I really realized at that moment that families sometimes are choosing our competitors before they even call us. They make assumptions in moments based on how we show up online. And when it looks like there was an opportunity where we didn't care, or for some communities that I've worked with in the past, it looks like they didn't even exist, that is where families are sometimes basing their decisions on. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is how to win the battle before families even call or visit you, and how to show up online so that families can choose you and not your competitor. Welcome, I'm Tiffany Hill Allen, and this is day 17 of our 21-day series, All Things Senior Living Marketing. Let's dive in. Welcome to Start With Occupancy, the podcast for senior living owners, operators, and sales professionals. Hi, I'm Tiffany, marketing strategist and former corporate baddie who got tired of producing results for Wall Street and wanted to make a change on Main Street. I provide quick tips, idea nuggets, and case studies to help you with proven sales, marketing, and business development strategies, along with leadership concepts, so that you can inspire change, impact lives, and improve outcomes for the aging, their families, and your teams. I'm committed to equipping you with the tools, the knowledge, and resources that you need to excel in your business. With experience working inside senior living companies, large and small, I've developed a deep passion for advocating for the aging adult and those who care for them, all while driving business growth. So whether you're already in the senior care industry or maybe you would like to be, if your mission is to serve them, my mission is to serve you. Join me as we unravel the strategies and tactics that drive success in your business while making a difference in someone's life. The goal is to touch, guide, and impact the lives of 10 families per month. Are you with me? It's time to be inspired, gain practical tips, and own your future. Well, here's the truth that most small operators don't want you to hear. 80% of all families start their search online. Not by calling you, not by driving by your community, but online. They Google senior living near me or assisted living in whatever city or memory care for my mom. And if you don't show up in these search results, if you don't have reviews, if you don't have a website that looks good, or if it looks outdated, or if your Facebook page is totally dead, they may very well choose your competitor before they even know that you exist. And here's the worst part. Your competitor might not even be better than you necessarily. They might have less staffing, worse care, higher prices, be less experienced, but they look better online. And that's all that matters in the first 30 seconds of a family search because they're basing it off of first impressions. So today, I'm going to show you how to fix this. I'm going to show you how to show up online and how to build trust before families ever call you, and how to compete with the big box communities digitally without spending thousands of dollars. I call it the 3 Ps of online presence. Profile, your Google My Business listing. Proof, your reviews and testimonials. And presence, your social media activity. Let's break down each one. The first P is profile, specifically your Google My Business profile. This is the most important piece of your online presence. Why? It's because this is when families Google senior living near me, or you're not on that map, you're invisible. Here's what most small operators get wrong. They either don't have a Google My Business profile at all, or they have one that is incomplete and outdated. I've seen this over and over again. And let me show you what a complete profile looks like. You need to make sure that you have claimed and verified your listing. If you have not claimed it, make sure someone else don't claim your listing. Complete your business information. Make sure that your name is correct, your address and your phone number, your hours of operation, and your website link. You also have to make sure that your business category is right. Is it assisted living, a memory care? Do you have an independent living? Is it mix of both? High quality photos is necessary, at least 10 to 15. Think about when you look at a hotel, right? You see all these different photos that comes up on the Google My Business. And there's also a short video in there, I believe it's like 20 seconds or less, that you should have as well. You want to include your common areas like your dining room, your living room, your activity room. If you have a resident room that shows up that looks like a model, then that would be wonderful. If it's occupied, make sure you get permission and make sure there's no identifying information that's being shown. You want your staff photos of them smiling, make sure they look professional, any activities or events that you might have, and your business description. Now, this should be less than 750 characters, not words, but characters. So it doesn't have to be big and long, but what is your description about your community? How would you describe it? And what's important about this is that you know what your value add and your value messaging is that is going to capture people's attention. You want to make sure you are communicating what is different about you, what services you offer, who you serve. What are your attributes? Meaning, like, are you LGBTQ friendly? Do you accept Medicaid? Are you, do you serve special diets? Things like that. And you want to make sure that you have posts on your Google My Business and post the events that's happening at your community or resident success stories or staff spotlights. activities. Why does all this matter? Because the thing is this, when families search for your senior living community, Google ranks your profiles based on the completeness of your Google My Business. And they wanted to make sure that everything is filled out. They also want to make sure that you're updating your information regularly. And your reviews are showing, they want to see how many, how recent, how positive, all of that matters. And so if your profile is incomplete, you won't show up in Google My Business. You won't show up as being professional. It's that simple. And you want to show up looking professional, right? The second P is proof. Your reviews, your testimonials, that's what you want to highlight and to showcase. Because here's the reality. Families don't trust what you say about your community. They trust what other families say about your community. And where do they look for that proof? They look for Google reviews. They look for Facebook reviews. If you are a member of caring.com or partnering with them or a Place for Mom, they have their reviews that they do. So you want to make sure that you have some reviews on your Google My Business. If you don't have reviews, or if you have reviews that are old or negative or fake looking, families might be hesitant to call you, or they will have an increased skepticism when they talk to you, which makes that process of communicating with them just a little bit more friction. Not harder necessarily, but their antennas might be up a little bit higher than they get a good feeling already before they call you. Or, worst case scenarios, that they'll call your competitor and never call you. The one who has 50 positive reviews and they're updated in the last 6 months. That looks like an active community with frequent visitors and people who love it. And so you're going to not look as desirable or as well known as some of those because you just don't have as much activity on your Google My Business. So the key is this. You want to have at least 10 to 15 reviews at a minimum, right? Ideally 25 for those who are in competitive markets. If you have up to 50, that would be great. Your reviews should be recent within the last 3 or 6 months. So you want to have a Google review promotion at least once a quarter. But if you have to do one every 6 months, then definitely do that. You want to make sure that the reviews are a little bit more robust than so-and-so assisted living is a great place. You don't want that, right? Because then it doesn't give enough meat to it. You want reviews from real families, not staff, by the way, and not fake accounts, but you can request that your families, even your vendors or your partners who has influence within the community and who have been to your community, how awesome would it be to have a home care company or a home health company, or better yet, a physician that says, I go to this community to visit my patients and it's very nice. I like it. It's always clean. It's professional. The people are good to work with. It doesn't have to always be the residents. It could be some of your partners that you work with that is giving you good reviews, as long as they're identifying who they are in the relationship and that it's not fake or fluffed up, or that there's not a kickback that's involved, but that they're able to say, you know what, this is nice. Look, your mailman. Why not? I had a mailman one time tell me what he thought about one of my communities as a regional, because he used to visit all the time. And it technically wasn't my community. It was in my city, but it was under the same company. And he was like, hey, I noticed this about the community, or I noticed this change. And he was the mailman, and he would see me in the grocery store, and he would say, hey, Tiffany, and he would talk to me, and he would tell me what's going on. And it was very interesting that he had opinions and information just based off of visiting and from delivering mail. The second thing is you want a system for asking for reviews. When to ask: 30, 60 days after move-in, when families are happy, but they're not so overwhelmed. When you're having events at your community, you can have a Google review drive. And you want to ask people in person maybe by email if you update your families once a month on what's going on in your community or about their family member, about residents, or even through text. And one of the things that you would say is, would you mind sharing your experience on Google? It helps other families to find us better. And you have to remember that most of your families really want you to do well. They want you to succeed. Because if you're succeeding, that means their parent, their loved one is going to be cared for because you're going to stay in business. They don't want to see you empty. So ask them, tell them what their contribution to that will mean for your business. Make it easy for them to do so as well. Like I said, you can do a promotion just for posting. You don't want to sway what they post, but you definitely want to say, please post a review. You want to process for also responding to those posts. So when they do give you a positive review, you want to thank them. Mention something specific. Invite them to an event. Thank you for this review. Don't forget that we're having, this event for Mother's Day that's coming up. We appreciate you so much for sharing information about our community, right? If it's a negative review, conversely, because sometimes those happen, just like in the story, apologize. Think about the hotels again. What do they do? A really good one. They will apologize. They'll ask them to reach out, for follow-up so that you can address the concerns offline. The key is this. You just want to show people that you care, that you're human, that you care, that you don't take people's concerns lightly, and that you want to address that, and that it is never your intention for any customer service failure. And why does this all matter? Because according to Bright Local's local consumer review survey for 2023 and 2024, this is what they found. 98% of consumers read online reviews for local businesses overall, like 98%. So it comes up in Google, number one, you got to be found. Number two is when it does come up, they're looking at the number of reviews, and they're also looking at what the reviews are saying. 76% of consumers trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations. So remember a few episodes back, we talked about getting the referrals from your family members that live with you. But think about this, the online reviews, 76% of consumers trust them just as much. Think about that, right? So businesses with 10 plus reviews, according to the survey, sees a significant higher conversion rate than those who have fewer reviews or no reviews, and obviously those who don't show up on Google at all. So your recent reviews matter more than your old ones because Google prioritizes that. So just FYI, you just want to always keep it recent. And that's one of the metrics, one of the things when I was a regional that I was able to contribute was driving those reviews, making sure there was newsletters to professionals. It was connecting with my team and with families and doing the things that would really make an impact marketing-wise, not just sales-wise, which is what I was in charge of, but marketing-wise. So here's a quick tip for you guys. Don't wait for families to leave reviews on their own because typically they will not. Instead, create a simple review request system. I've been in so many places and restaurants where they're like, leave us a review. Did you like how the food tastes? And they're quick and on it. And I feel like we should be the same way. The first step in that is 30 days after move-in, send a handwritten thank you note to the family. Say, we're so glad your mom is a part of our family. We're so glad you chose us. I would love for you to share your positive experience when you moved in. And make sure you give a positive one, right? So this keeps you accountable and your staff because you want to just put this on your Google review. And I would say, would you mind sharing it on Google? This helps other families find us. And here's the link. And you give them the Google review link. You can do it by a QR code on a card that goes directly to the Google review page. Make it one-click easy for them. Another way is to follow up 7 days later with a text. Hi, I'm just checking in, letting you know how your mom is doing. You give them 3 things that mom is doing well in. When you have a moment, we would love for you to give us a review on Google. Here's the link again, right? That's it. 3 touch points. You're not bugging them. You're just asking them to help you to grow your business. And the thing is that if you've developed a relationship with your families during discovery, if you continue that relationship on, they want to see you succeed. And so it wouldn't be seen as an imposition because of the fact that you have this relationship already, right? Now, does it mean that maybe you might need to wait 2 months after they moved in or 3 months? Whatever that comfort level is for that family, and you can gauge it. You know when someone is loving you and when someone is like, I'm still waiting to see. But the whole idea is that you want to really engage with that family so that um, so that they will leave you the review, right? The third P that we're going to talk about is presence. And this, my friend, is your social media activity. I see so many people struggle with this. And there are some places that are knocking it out the park. You guys are doing an amazing job with this. And I watch. I may not always engage. I try to because there's so many of you, but I do look. And some people are doing this super well. And then others are just, you're struggling. And I see that. And I know what you're thinking. Tiffany, I don't have time for social media. I'm already wearing 10 hats. And you can do it different ways. You can outsource it, right? You can batch it and do it in one day and then, have it uploaded on those dates that you need it to be done. There's all different strategies for that. And, I can help you with that. But the key is you want to get it done. Here's the good news for you. You don't need to be on everything. You don't need to be on TikTok dancing with your residents. You don't need to post 5 times a day. You don't even need to go viral. I'm not asking you to go viral. What I am asking is that you show up and that you show families that you're an active community, that you are real, and that you care about your residents and that you care about your staff. And you have staff who interacts with your residents and that your staff cares. This is the minimum viable social media presence, right? That's the minimum. So what platforms, you might ask? Well, Facebook is a primary platform for your audience. That's where a lot of aging adults are in terms of baby boomers. That's where a lot of Gen X is. And believe it or not, millennials are starting to come on over. I see that. So posting 2 to 3 times a week is fine. The idea is consistently, not daily. And what should you post? Event photos, birthday parties, holiday celebrations, activities, staff spotlights. This is where you can introduce your team. The key with those things, though, is, and what really gets me sometimes, is that people will have, it's really, I don't know, it's not good for me, and it just might be me, but seeing somebody who turns 94 and have a birthday hat on and a little caption that says, "Happy birthday, Mr. Smith." And that's it. There's no context. There's no what he meant to your community, what he means to your staff. There's no history on him. There's nothing. It's just like, for the outside person who's scrolling, it's just like, oh, he's an older man with a kid's hat on and it's his birthday. That's what it looks like. So I encourage you to tell the resident stories with their permission, right? Tell, who is Mr. Smith? Why is it important that this is his birthday? What has he meant to your community? Storytelling is huge. And if you can create that with the picture, it makes such a better impact. Community updates is another thing that you can share on social. This is new programs. If you have renovations, if you have events coming up, specialized campaigns. The key is responding to the comments within 24 hours. So when people engage in your pictures, you want to respond to the comments because that helps more people to see your posts. The algorithm pushes it more when there's engagement. Your Google posts is another way of doing that, doing weekly, at least, like I said before, monthly, but doing that and saying what's happening in your community. Think activities, like that is the key. How active is your community? What are you guys doing that's fun? And with AI now, you know what? Storytelling is so much easier. You can get on Claude, which I like for social better than ChatGPT because it sounds more like you. and you can get on Google Gemini. You can actually talk a story into it, ask it to make that story into a caption because it's your talking, it's not making it up, and it will format it for you so that all you have to do is post it. So you don't even have to sit and type. You can tell stories on your recorder on your phone and later on put it into Claude or Google Gemini and have it create the caption for you. It's easier now more than ever. The key is to make sure that you're consistent, right? Another option for you is Instagram. This is obviously more picture heavy or video heavy. So if you have videos, you can just put on Instagram. You do have more millennials as well as Gen Z who are making decisions for their aging grandparents. That is huge. And I see it a lot. That's my feed. So I see what is happening in that space. And on Instagram, for sure, stories about their grandmother's upbringing and growing up. Anytime you're able to do storytelling again on Instagram as a video, it's going to be good. It's going to give you traction. So what you don't want to do is just use stock photos. Families can tell that, obviously. Don't post salesy content, call us today. Don't do that. Don't post and ghost. I think I mentioned that before. And then don't post residents' photos or videos without their permission. And this is important. You want to make sure that you have the written permission from family and from the residents. And you get this by having a disclosure at the time of move-in that goes along with the contract. And this gives a family to opt in or to opt out. So you definitely want to do that. But they just want to see that there's life in your community. I actually had one person one time said that he was visiting communities for his wife, and this was in the villages. And he mentioned how when he was going around looking for day stay programs in senior living communities before deciding on the future prospect to move her in, one of the things he noticed is how lifeless those communities were. So when you're able to show life in your communities, it really is a selling point for your community. All right. They want to know that this place is alive, that they care, that, my mom is going to have fun, that she's going to be heard, that she's going to be valued, that she's not going to be babied. People don't like that. So once they know this about you, that's when they pick up the phone and they call you. Some people are just going down a list and calling whoever and wherever. But when it comes to making decisions, they still go back and look, right? So let me tell you a story about one of my, and I say she was never under me as my sales director, but I oversaw mostly all the communities in the whole company except for hers. So it was being built. It was a brand new community just being built. And her name is Tanya Morales. You can look her up on LinkedIn. She is amazing at what she does. She is now a regional. But this woman, I will always and forever give her the kudos because I saw how hard she worked and I saw how out of the box she was thinking when it came to marketing her community as a sales manager or sales director. And she sold out of her brand new 118 unit independent living and memory care community. Mostly independent living. I believe I would like to say, oh my gosh, I would like to say like 103 units was independent, and the difference of that was her memory care. It was a very, very small memory care. And she did it all within 1 year using social media. Yes, I said it, using social media. And here's what made it work. Tanya was on site from the groundbreaking on. She was with this company from the very beginning. And all the renderings and floor plans was on paper. There was no building to sell, right? It was just dirt. So what she started doing was posting videos on Facebook and YouTube. And first, it was her standing in an empty lot saying, this is where the dining room will be. And then it was when the framing went up, she would walk through the community with her phone under construction with the hard hat. And like, this is what the 2-bedroom apartment will be and what it looks like. And this is where the kitchen will go. And she just kept people engaged and excited by how she was presenting the community. And she posted these videos weekly. So when families would inquire about the community, she would send them direct links, right? Do you want a 2-bedroom? Here's a video tour. Here's what it looks like under construction. And she would, give them expectation of what's going to happen next. But here's what made it really work for her. She made it fun. She ran many campaigns, and she also promoted all of her events through social media. And so one fun campaign she did was May Your Days Be Filled with Positivity. And this was for the month of May. And this is where depositors and families and partners, like the senior center, she got a quote from each person and she posted it with their name. So if it was an individual, she would tag them. If it was an individual at a company that might have been senior related, like a DME company or a rehab company or a senior center company or an elder law company, she got with all these partners, referral partners, got their quote of their favorite positive quote, and then she would tag the person and tag the company. So Jack Smith from Jack Smith Elder Law Firm, right? So now you get the reach of not just Jack Smith and his friends, but the elder law firm and who their followers were. So guess what they were doing? They were excited to be featured. Is my quote going to be featured today? Because they didn't know when she was featuring it or if she was going to feature it. And so now they would look on the page and their people would look on the page. Again, it drove activity to her Facebook page. And as a result, 118 units sold in 1 year rather. I remember her first month opening when they finally got the clear to open. They had something like 30 to 40 move-ins in 1 month. Can you imagine that? A completely full community in 1 year. All because she showed up consistently on social media. She had a plan, she had a strategy, and she executed. She did it with her smartphone and made families feel connected before they even moved. That is the power of social media presence. Here are some practical tips to make your online presence even stronger. Tip number 1, take your own photos. Again, no stock photos. Families can tell when you're using stock photos. So you want your community, your staff, and your residents, with their permission, only if they signed for permission for you to do so, you want them to be in the photos. And you guys use your smartphone already. You know how to use your camera. Just make it fun, right? Take the photos during activities and events and during their daily life. Focus on smiling faces, not empty rooms. Make sure you look at backgrounds of photos too. I've had that happen where people took a picture, but the background was somebody in the back sleeping. You don't want that. Write a good caption. Use Claude or Google Gemini. I find them to be better than ChatGPT. I don't think it's good for copy and for sales language. So, and I say sales language, meaning making it sound like you can train it. I have trained mine backwards and forth in GPT, but it's still, it's I don't know if it's just this new upgrade or it's this new update, but it's not hitting the mark. Where it comes out, even if it's your words that you're putting into it and you're asking it to redo it, it's not coming out the same. So I would say use Google Gemini or use Claude. Claude being, to me, the clear winner. Tip number 2 is respond to every review, even the bad ones. When you respond to reviews, you're not just talking to the reviewer, but you're talking to every future family who reads that review. So that's what you have in your mind. Respond nicely to the positive ones. Thank you so much, Mrs. Smith. We're so glad your mom is thriving here. We love having her here as a part of our family. Hope to see you at the next family event. And of course, the negative ones. You want to be apologetic and you want to invite them to reach out to you and that you want to fix whatever wrong was done, whether perceived or not. Again, this matters because it shows that you care, that you're responsive. Because one of the main complaints for families, I will tell you, in senior living is the response time when they have an issue once their family member moves in. That is one of the biggest complaints, is that no one called me back. I tried to call about this. I tried to tell them about that, and no one responded Communication is a huge issue. And this is where miscommunication happen between families and communities. So if you are showing that in the front end, especially if they're coming from another community where communication was poor, it helps quail their hesitancy on the front end, right? Make it easy for families to contact you. Your online presence should have one clear call to action. Call us, schedule a visit, come to our event, come to our open house. How do you want to do this? You want to make sure that your phone number is in Google profile. It's also in your Facebook bio, in your website header. You want to have families know how to contact you. Add a visit button or schedule a visit. Include a contact form on your website where people can actually put in information. Or nowadays, to be honest, it's not that expensive to do anymore, but you can have an automated chatbot. Like if a family is like, I don't want to deal with all of this right now, I just want to ask simple questions. It's so easy right now on your website to get a little chatbot on the side, and it's not thousands of dollars anymore like it used to be because of AI. So if you have questions about that, let me know. My SparkPoint marketing agency can help with that. And if I'm not able to, then I do have people that I can send you to for that. Respond to messages again ASAP. You always, when people are calling you, when they're leaving a message, when they reach out to you by email, you want to make sure that you have some type of system that you can reach back out to them within 4 hours. And with now automation, again with AI, you can make that seamless. So at least they know that they're being recognized and that you're going to follow up. The key is to make sure that you follow up, right? But you want to make sure that you're at least getting in line to be in front of that family before your competitor, or at the very least alongside of them. Tip number 4 is to track what's working. You need to know which online channels are driving new inquiries into your business. So you always want to know where is your business coming from so that you know where to double down, right? And you can track it either in a spreadsheet. That's one way. If you're doing low cost, you have a CRM. There's some really great CRMs out there that are even specific to senior living. At least have something to track it. You're small, and some of you might be like, well, I'm only six beds community. I'm a house. I don't have all of this. The thing is this: do you want to stay that way? Is that your goal, to always have 6 or 8 residents? Or are you looking to scale and get a second home and a third home and a fourth and a fifth and a sixth? So if you're looking at scaling, now when you have your first one, it's easier to me to have the systems in place so that you're not scrambling when you start to scale. And so it doesn't have to be overcomplicated, but just have that system in place. Okay. So as always, we have a quick win moment, don't we? Your quick win for this week is to make sure that your Google profile is optimized and that it is claimed. If you have not claimed it yet, that's what I would like for you to do, is to go ahead and claim your Google business profile. If it is not optimized, meaning that it has not been updated in the last week, then go ahead and do that. Go to google.com/business, I believe, search for your community name, and you should be able to find that. If it is unclaimed, claim it, verify that you are the owner, and then you need to complete every section: your business name, your address, your phone, your hours, all of those things. Make sure you know what category of business. So are you an assisted living? Are you a memory care only? Make sure that you have a description. Have Claude and have Google Gemini help you with your description. There is a prompt for you to utilize to help it to understand and know what your value is as a community. And if you're needing help with that, then that is where my Momentum Marketing Bootcamp will come in, because we're going to go over what is your value. A lot of times people do the basics. It is that we are family oriented, we're small, we have smaller staffing. Those are the things that people know. But what makes you different than, at least in my city, the other 300 family, small, home-like environments? Like there's 300 of them. So what is going to make yours different? Yes, I did say that, 301 city. Can you believe that? Jacksonville is really big. Make sure you have 10 to 15 photos, exterior and common areas, and that you post your first Google update. And let the update be something simple. We're excited to welcome new families to XYZ Assisted Living. This week we're celebrating, or this month we're celebrating Women's Appreciation Month, right? That's it, one afternoon, and you'll start showing up when families search for senior living in your area eventually. So you want to go ahead and do that. Now, if you're thinking, Tiffany, I need to learn how to do all of this. I need to know step-by-step checklists, review requests, templates, 30-day social media posting calendar, prompts that I should use. How do I do this? How do I even use AI to help me in this? Well, again, that's where the Momentum Marketing Bootcamp is going to come in. The kit's going to include all of this for you, as well as all the things that we've been going over through day 1 of the series, because this is really a full boot camp. And so if you go to startwithoccupancy.com and / Momentum Marketing Bootcamp, I'm just thinking, I don't think I have the landing page up yet, but I will have that up for you guys, and we'll have it for you to sign up, because the next one is going to start in mid-March. So let's get that going. I will get that up for you. I just realized I forgot to update my site, so I will get that up and going for you guys. But definitely go to Start with Occupancy and / programs. It will be underneath programs and you'll see it there. Okay. So Start with Occupancy / programs. All right. So let's recap it in closing. We talked about the 3 Ps, right? So it's profile, claim and optimize your Google profile. It is proof, getting the Google reviews, 10 to 15. You want to do a campaign for that. If you're a small business and you're like, I only have 6 residents, I can't get 10 to 15. But you have vendors, you have other people who come in, and you also have multiple family members, right? It's not just one single family member. So think about that. And then you also have presence. And that is, what does your social media look like? Remember, 2 to 3 times a week on Facebook, it's good. You just want consistency, right? And that's it. Now, just one more thing. Day 18, we're diving into how to talk about price without losing the move-in. You're going to want to hear this because pricing and affordability is the number one concern families have. And most operators and owners that I talk to struggle with this. They either struggle with setting the right pricing, knowing how to be competitive in pricing, knowing how to do value-based pricing, and knowing how to talk about pricing. So those are the things we're going to talk about. Before I let you go, I just want to remind you that families are more savvy today. They're asking more questions, and they're choosing your competitor sometimes before they even call you. Not because your competitor's better, but because they look better online. So I want you to stop being invisible. I want you to show fully and authentically up as your wonderful, professional, and caring and passionate self, and show up online. Build trust before families call, and watch how your inquiry rate will double. I believe it will. Until next time, I'm here to inspire change, to impact lives, and to improve outcomes. I'll see you in the next episode.